Wow, is pretty much all I could say to really start this one off. The Carolina Hurricanes had a valiant comeback effort. We had never seen a team down by 4 come back from 4 to tie the game. And in the third period alone, with that, there's so many different parts of history that happened tonight, including the fastest hat trick ever in Stanley Cup final history from Mitch Marner with the Canes' historical comeback. And then Brandon Bussi comes in, stops everything but his own player's stick, and Canes end up losing 5-4.
I can't make sense of it, Chris, Brian, and I'll put it into terms. I think the only way I understand life when I can't understand it is through movies. When we're in Vegas, there's a lot of great ones. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, you're tripping out. You don't know where you are. The Hangover, you don't know what happened last night. Casino, you're going to bury this one in the desert. I mean, all of the above. And I think just what hurts so much is that the Canes end up on the wrong side of it.
Yes.
And to your point, not just one own goal, to use a soccer term, but essentially 2 of them with the Sean Walker one. And the Canes' margin for error in the series is getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, we talked before this game. Could the rest of the series measure up to what the first 2 games had provided? And this one exceeded those 2. I mean, the Vegas Golden Knights scored 4 goals, 4 allowed goals in the second period, and 2 disallowed goals. And you thought, man, this is over. Take Frederik Andersen out, save him for another day. And then all of a sudden, the Canes score 3 goals in 39 seconds, fastest ever 3 goals to be scored in a Stanley Cup final game. They find a way to get the final goal.
With 1:27 left.
Yeah, with Andrei Svechnikov getting that goal and Nick Ehlers already in the back of the goal when the puck goes in. And at that point, I thought, oh my gosh, they're going to do this. I thought the momentum had clearly switched to their side. And then a fluke goal. A fluke goal ends in a shot off the back that bounces. Martinook misses it. It hits Bussi on the skate, goes in. My question, and Rod Brindamore said this in the postgame, there are no moral victories, right? You don't take a moral victory having been down 4-0 and forcing double overtime. The concern, I think, if you're the Carolina Hurricanes is how much you have left in the tank to come back from this one. But this team has been resilient all year. I would have said the same thing after game 1, and they came back and found a way in game 2. And I would have said the same thing after the second period tonight, and they came back and found a way in the third period. So not ready to count this team out, but certainly these games are being decided by the narrowest of margins.
The Canes are on their longest stretch of hockey right now. If you think about it, you had 4 games that you won. You had a sweep. You wait, 6 days? You're off 4 games. Then you're off 12 days. And then now you've been in a couple different series now versus teams that are giving you your biggest tests so far in the postseason. I want to go back to the third period, though. A really key moment. Mitch Marner probably could have had 5 or 6 goals in this game. But he was slashed as he was having another breakaway. Could have scored a goal right there, but maybe the slashing was good because then he had a penalty shot opportunity, and then right there, Brandon Bussi stuffs it. Could have been 5-0, and that probably would have. We thought 4-0
Sure.
would have.
I guess I don't want to say sure because
we thought 4-0 would have absolutely killed it, but it could have been 5-0, and it probably would have killed it because the Canes, after that, went on to score their 4 goals, and I think that's when Brandon Bussi really started to feel it, and he came away with some amazing saves in that game.
He did, and what an incredible story would it be for him to finish this thing out.
Yeah.
The guy that essentially got you here.
Saved the season.
But Rod Brindamore goes with the goalie that has gotten them here holistically over the last several years, and the veteran in Andersen. And, I look at it a couple of different ways. Like, I thought Bussi was spectacular. And it was funny to hear Mitch Marner in the press conference say he didn't even know they switched the goalie, which could have affected how he played against Bussi, from a scouting report. He didn't even know it was Bussi in there.
Interesting.
But I look at the Andersen goals, and I don't think he's been as sharp in this series, right?
Right.
He hasn't made just the clutch saves that he did in other games that you don't think about later because the goal never went in. But in this one, you can step back from it and be like, all right, well, Hurdle scored easily from the slot. Marner had multiple breakaways, and the Sean Walker own goal.
It's not really his fault.
So
The first one, I think, is really on Freddie.
Yeah, but at the same time, you could be like, sometimes you just have to step up and make one of those breakaway saves, as Bussi did, and Rod didn't commit either way in the press conference. I think a key point, too, is there's 2 days off before the next game. You're only down 2-1, not 3-1 in the series. I thought Bussi might be the goalie to go with at the beginning of the playoffs. I was wrong. I know you thought it was Freddie. So, again, I'm probably going to think Rod's going to go back to Freddie again. But I liked what I saw from Bussi. I'm not going to lie.
You guys both raised great points. This was their fourth game in 8 days. They played Friday to finish out the Montreal series. They played Saturday in game 3 here. That's 4 games in 8 days, including a cross-country flight with no extra off day. We know Frederik Andersen is a goalie that kind of seems to wear down. He's also 36. So I thought the move to Bussi was the right move tonight. I don't know what the right move is going forward. Rod said basically we're going to have to sleep on it. We're going to have to look at a whole bunch of things. I don't know the right move. It's tough. I think you kind of maybe have to give Bussi a chance, given that, Freddie had allowed a lot of goals. He's allowed a lot of goals. I mean, just, know, this has been a very high-scoring series. These guys are very good. Mitch Marner was unbelievable. His face was on the towel today. His face might be on the cover of the video game. His face might be the one that gets, is holding the trophy when this is all said and done. He was awesome tonight. The move that he made, Freddie actually stopped the first one.
Yeah.
Then Vegas is able to keep the puck in territory, give it to Marner, who's wide open again. And he makes just an incredible move, gets to the backhand and scores off Freddie, who's sprawled out like a starfish out there. So I think Bussi may give you a better chance against this offensive group, at least right now, the way that they're finding holes in Freddie's game. On the other hand, and I think you made this point, or Pat made this point, the defense.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're going to keep making mistakes.
I was going to bring up Nikishin.
Yeah, and William Carrier was out for a lot of this game, and I think that affected them. They played 5 periods of hockey, and you don't have a key guy on your fourth line. That affects everybody. Has to play a little bit more, but that shouldn't impact the defense. I thought the defense was atrocious at times today. The Sean Walker goal, Marner just free on breakaway after breakaway. They're going to have to clean up defensively, and maybe they can't. Maybe Marner and Eichel and Stone and Carlson and all the guys they keep throwing out there are just too good. But the defense has got to get better, and I don't care who you got in goal if the defense can't stop anybody.
But you know what's interesting about that? I thought the first period and then the first overtime were great displays of defense from the Carolina Hurricanes. So you had 40 minutes of this game with that. It was just that the second period and parts of the third period were just completely atrocious. You brought up Sean Walker. Of course, Nikishin, I thought he was pretty terrible the entire game. He's giving up, a lot of different turnovers. A lot of times he just let his man just beat him. I felt like he kind of was overthinking a lot of times in the game, and you saw that being a difference maker. So maybe the Canes do need those 2 days off. We talked about the rest. We talked about, Freddie Andersen and just everything that's been going on with the team. They might need a couple of days just to really sit down. And we know that when Rod Brindamore goes and has his special video, sessions with these teams, this team bounces back. This was a very winnable game for the Canes, even before all of the goals, like in the fourth. I'm sorry, in the second period, the 4 goals in the second period for the Golden Knights. I felt like if the Canes transferred what they did in the first period to the second and third, they could have won this game maybe 3-0, 3-1, something like that.
Yeah,
because they absolutely dominated in that first period.
Well, I mean, look at the hits though in that period. 25 hits in the first period. This game has been a wide open series, and I asked Jordan Stahl before the game, do you expect like the defense to tighten up and the games to get lower scoring? He's like, I don't really know. Well, it didn't happen tonight. Another 9 goals on the board. But in that first period, 25 hits, 16 by the Golden Knights, 9 by Carolina. And you wonder if that kind of took a toll at some point. Obviously, Carrier got hurt in the first period, and so he wasn't available. Chatfield left for a second in the first period as well. You wonder if that physical toll, all the games they played, the travel, and one piece that we haven't talked a ton about, Vegas, but to get Braden McNabb back after what looked like one of the
college hockey
injuries.
mask on.
I don't understand why guys don't wear the full college mask all the time, but to get him back and to have Shea Theodore, who had the winner, like those two on defense have really been a difference, I think, in this series.
And they're huge, right? Like this series to me has come down to Vegas's size and skill versus Carolina's system. And you talked about how great the first period was. Like the system's on display, but yet again, no goals. And Rod talked about that this week. He's like, that seems to happen to us all the time. Well, why does it happen to you? Is because as great as the system is, you're not generating enough high danger chances
Right.
And here we are yet again, a game with 9 goals. And other than the high traffic, greasy goal that Svechnikov gets credited with, I don't know if you can even call it the top line anymore because the lines were completely jumbled in this game. But no Aho, no Jarvis, and they had chances, just a tick off or not able to quite cash it. I didn't see much from Ehlers in this one. I mean, that's where you're going to need to win the cup, especially in what Rod calls a stress game, where you can't rely on your system because there's too many breakdowns. Vegas is too good. These guys are too tired. And it's hard to be disciplined now for 60 minutes. But at this point, you're down 2-1 with another game on the road here. You lost home ice advantage. Your stars have to be stars. It's simple as that.
I like patterns, so I'm just paying attention to the patterns in this series so far. First game, you needed 60. Second game, you needed more than 60. This game, you needed more than 80. So each game is going longer and longer. Then the next pattern. The Carolina Hurricanes have scored 4 in each of these games, and they've lost 2. They've given up 5 in 2 of those games. We have 2 5-4 finishes, and then, of course, their 4-3 win. Canes are going to need to figure out a way to keep Vegas to 3 and under, probably 2 and under, because can the Canes keep up scoring 4+? We know that they're the second best scoring team in the regular season, but before this series, they only had, 3 games in the entire playoffs where they scored more than 2 goals in regulation. So they've had some issues scoring here in the playoffs. We're going to have to see what ends up happening for the rest of this series when it comes to that. They're going to have to make sure they keep that puck out of the net.
Yeah, I just, obviously if you don't win a game like this, the negative takes come out. The grit of this team that has been on display all year, but to come back from a 4-0 deficit, I don't think you can underestimate kind of what that takes. Now, the big question for me is what it takes out of you. Usually when you have that comeback, you win the game. And then you're riding high. You forget all about the second period. To lose that game after expending all that energy to come back, maybe they would be better off losing that game 5-0 than losing it 5-4 in double overtime. But the grit that this team has shown throughout the postseason has been, pretty remarkable. And I can't imagine that they're going to let this game affect the next game. They may not be good enough. They may lose, but I don't think it's going to be because they lost this.
Yeah, I mean, they have to pass another test, right? You talk about the grit. Winning game 2 was a huge stepping stone for this franchise in its current iteration, right? When you look at the previous ECF exits, the sweep and being completely mismatched versus Florida, and you're about to go down 0-2 to Vegas, and it's history repeating. Everybody in that building is thinking the same thing. Oh, we're just not quite good enough. We ran into a bigger, stronger, faster team. How are we ever going to get to that next step? And as you step back from this series, they're right there.
Yeah.
If they end up losing the Stanley Cup, this is going to haunt them for years because, it is right there for the taking for them. And it's ironic because this team that's so disciplined, has so much character, has made so many mistakes. But again, to use that word Rod used, stress game, they're induced by Vegas's talent. It's not all quote it is a little self-inflicted, but it's also the stress that Vegas is putting on them.
I want to go back to something you said, Brian, because we talked about maybe the Canes being tired. But what if this game took a lot out of Vegas, right? We talked about, we know the Canes are one of the highest fitness level teams in the NHL. Rod is going to make sure is that way. But Vegas had to feel like they were coasting up 4-0. Then this team comes back and ties it. Oh no, we've seen this happen because we saw that happen in the last game. And then you ended up losing. What did this take out of Vegas?
Well, that's a great question, right? What did it take out of them? And I guess we won't know that answer until the next game on Tuesday. That I think both teams really looking forward to having 2 days off. Yeah. And we'll have to see. But when you have high-end skill like Marner and Eichel and Stone and Carlson and all these guys, you get away. You get away with maybe not having your A game because you got a guy who could change the game. I just hope all those fans that were at the Lenovo Center in Raleigh stuck around to the end. Because I got to imagine a lot of them when it was the intermission between the second period and the third period said 4-0, I'm getting home.
Especially when there's not hockey being played on the ice either. You're just why am I here?
And they missed a heck of a third period. I really thought when Svechnikov scored that Carolina was going to win this game.
Yeah. Man, not much to really say after all that.
I think what we can do is
we witness history in so many different ways.
Rip up these tickets. Chris made his first
Oh yeah.
sports bet of his life. Do I even still have mine?
There were 9 goals. You guys didn't pick any of them. Any of the people to
That's
score.
hard to do, Brian.
John
Record. Okay, were you a stall? Yeah. Oh, well, that's money. I had the foolish idea of trying to will Aho into reality.
How much money did you get from that?
I'll have to check.
Okay, well, he'll have to check.
No one
that.
had Mitch Marner with the hat trick.
Well, there's no value on that, but clearly there's value in having money, and I am ripping mine up. But hey, the gambler's fallacy, right? We're due, baby.
I thought that Jackson Blake was going to have it. He had some opportunities, just wasn't his night. This is my first bet, and we made it rain.
Well, all we can do is go back to the casino, and the Canes, all they can do is get back out on that ice.
See you guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, all the stuff, hype, all that stuff. Comment. Let us know what you think. Hopefully the Canes can come back. Look, they can't go down 3-1. So this is another game where it's going to be a lot of pressure coming up. And that's Tuesday, 8 o'clock, and we'll be right here in Las Vegas to cover that.